Yeah, there's supposed to be a picture of 515, but Josh is not saying it's your name.
I just read the email.
I mean, we could pull it off.
I mean, it was an invitation on there, but in your defense, we moved it because.
Oh, yeah, I remember the invitation multiple times,
I just feel
but I
bad.
just saw the reminder email.
Oh.
Straight there.
Yeah. Better. Yes.
At least it wasn't like a full wrap around.
Yes. Yeah, as long as James and you can what they said. Make any money.
All right. I don't know what I do.
Especially since you're.
I'll take any.
70 degrees tomorrow. I think it's great.
Yes. Nice work.
There it is.
You.
Just,
I would guess.
To rate.
Right.
What I mean, it would be. Right, so I mean, it's probably like, so not like we know stuff.
Right.
And like, you make them. Don't say that.
Yeah. And a couple of their.
Over and on. So, you probably some.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that, man?
Yeah.
But still not. I still gotta get on it.
Right.
Some days we do, other days we don't.
It all evens out, right?
Okay, usually, it was shown, John Garcia. No, much of that, what we've got the first thing.
Still at a Kmart in town, but also big glamour shots.
We're expecting a board member to join us in a couple of months. We want to watch.
Plan.
Yeah, no. Oh, that's not.
First, but.
I can see both sides.
It's the same across from this one.
Welcome to the world.
And
Yeah, like, I was here.
I still will stand where I stood.
5 years. You're further behind.
You could tell you like you're, I think you're. Think process out loud.
The right isn't speaking, I feel.
Like last time you had high school, like to transition to look at all of that as a child. Yeah. That. Person.
Ready, we'll call the meeting to order, Charles City Community School District Board of Education. Roll call,
Dr. Dave Brooks.
here,
Vice President Yeager.
Here.
Board Member Fox.
Here.
Board Member Cabrick.
Here.
And Board Member Mack. Is he on Zoom?
we have a quorum, so we will proceed. Reading of the district mission vision statement.
Our mission to challenge all students to achieve their full potential through engaging, responsive educational experiences that inspire innovation, critical thinking, and collaboration. Our vision to develop learners who are competent, compassionate problem solvers. Our operating principle, information for one is information for all. No surprises, verify facts. Think ahead, disagree, explain your thinking, and then commit.
Thank you. Any visitors that would like to speak to the board? That is signed in. Approval of the agenda.
So are there any amendments or?
I don't have any.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. School, counselors have a presentation for us.
Not a presentation. Right, what we're going to do. Each other, I didn't share the whole presentation.
Oh, actually, it would have to be shared on the school board site and the,
On the website?
yeah, actually, we normally put them on the agenda and then he has the agenda open and he can click on it. But I'm not sure. Okay,
Okay.
why don't you?
Well, I sent Callie a little write-up because we had not quite finalized the PowerPoint
Yep,
yet.
and that is in there, yep.
So you've got a little write-up of what we were chat about, so. I mean,
So you
we don't
don't-
have to present, we don't,
That's fine. If you want to skip the PowerPoint and you present, that's fine too. Whatever you want.
I have them. Had PowerPoint up. so-
Okay. okay,
Yeah.
and we can do that, sounds good. Okay. All right. But we can certainly add, if that's okay, we can add it to the website or whatever, if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll introduce myself. I'm Sandy Townsend. I am the Washington Elementary Counselor. I've been with the district 18 years, I think. So, right now I'm the longest standing one. Longest standing counselor here. So, a really strong passion for our district and our kids and our families here. Lots of connections with, families. I know so many of the staff here have been here a long time. And so we just really appreciate the opportunity to come and like be able to just talk about what we do and talk a little bit about how we feel like the things that we do to impact kids, just what we do. We just had National School Counseling Week in February, so we thought it might be a good time to just chat about school counselors and numbers and logistics and all of that. So we just really appreciate the time to be able to do that with you guys.
Just out of interest, before you go on, of those 18 years, have you been at the elementary level the whole time?
I have been, yes. I started at Lincoln and I was there 10 years and I've been at Washington 8. So, long time.
And then I'm Casey Brando. I have been here for like 5 months. So this is my first time being a school counselor, first year. It's been a pretty exciting, been a part of a lot of changes and a lot of growth, which was awesome to be a part of and say that I had to play a role in, so.
Which school are you at? Or
Here at the high school.
high school?
And I'm Ray Cole, so I'm here at the middle school. I'm going on my 4th year here. So I kind of am looking forward to seeing what we can get approved here and get done here to help with the middle school counseling department.
We have 2 other counselors who are not able to be here. Lori Smith is our other high school counselor. And then Joanne McAvoy, Lori has been here since her 3rd year. And so I think she's been a school counselor for 5. I think she was at Waverly maybe for 2 years. No, she lived in Waverly. She was south somewhere. But she's been here 3 years. So she's 5 years in. And then Joanne McAvoy is her first year in at Lincoln. And she has been 22 years. She has years on me. I can't believe it, but she's our first year here at Lincoln this year. And we're really, really blessed to have her make a big change last year to come on board here to what we have here at Lincoln. So we're really blessed to have her and Lord Gold. So, but they couldn't be here tonight. So you get us 3 lucky. So we just kind of want to chat a little bit about some of the things that we do, what a school counselor does. So first thing we're gonna talk about was, I guess we'll start with the student counselor ratio. I'll start with Washington right now. So the ASCA is our American School Counselor Association. So that's what oversees all of the school counselors in the country. That's the association that we're all part of. Their recommendation is always a 250 student to a 1 school counselor. And as a Washington elementary counselor, I say for the first time in many, many years, I'm kind of at a really great ratio. Right now I have 243 kids, pre-K through 1st grade, that I get to work with and impact every single day. And I feel really blessed to be able to do that. Not always been at that level across the district, but it's a very manageable number. And I feel like I can impact a lot of different families and kids in that number. And Lincoln right now, since we moved 2nd grade up to Lincoln last year, or this year, we decided to make that choice. She is like on the dot at 300 students. So Joanne is 1 to 300 students. Right?
And as middle school counselor, I have the highest number as the only counselor here. I'm at a 400 plus ratio, which, we said typically it should be like 250 to 1 ratio. So when I first came here, like I said, I've been here about 4 years. When I first came here, I think it was a 500 to 1 ratio. And when I saw that, when I was applying, I started to turn and run. But I decided to stick it out and come because I saw the need for me to be here at Charleston Middle School. So with that said, that getting another counselor here would help me be able to impact more students and to be more visible to students.
We're really blessed to have Ray. We really are. 4 years, that's a big number to handle by yourself for 4 years. He does really amazing things. So if you've ever seen him in work, he's pretty awesome. He does great with what he can.
At the high school level, we've got about 542 students, but that's also students that are either homeschooled and are dual enrolled here so they can do some athletics or other opportunities for extra classes. And then we also have students that are at Flex and Perry Lane that we still do serve. We're just there once a week. Me and Lori go every other week. Right now with 542 students, we are working within that 250 ratio, a little bit above it, but we split it up, so I have 10th graders and seniors this year. She has 9th graders and 11th graders. Next year, I'll take in the incoming 8th graders, and then I'll have the sophomores now who will be juniors at that time, and just keep going like that. I like being able to do that. I get to experience all the kids' lives and years, not just seniors or just freshmen. That would be kind of boring.
And years past, we had another ratio, so I've been here a long time. So we did have 2 counselors at the middle school at one time. And then what happened was we ended up, people quit, resign, and we, budgets, we know that. So what did happen was we ended up getting a social worker to fill in at that middle school. I would say 4 years ago. And this is your second year, right? Second year, yes. So I would say 4 years ago. The previous superintendent had advocated for a social worker, which I thought for sure we needed a social worker. But we lost that counselor, that extra counselor in the district, and we replaced that with a part-time social worker who was supposed to be helping Ray, or it wasn't Ray at the time. Well, it might have been. No, it was the year before Ray, so 5 years ago. Was helping the counselor, the middle school counselor there, and she was shared with Waverly and us. So she was supposed to be supporting the middle school with the counselor there. And then just this last year, then her role changed, and so now she's K-12 social worker. And so now Ray does not have that extra support at the middle school specifically, because she's literally in every building doing a lot of awesome work elsewhere, doing other things K-12. But I just wanted to add that in there, that he did have that support at one time, but and good Lord knows we could use like 2 social workers and another counselors, obviously, but that's just, I just wanted to add that in there, that was how that changed, is we did have that half-time counselor here that was shared, and she was supposed to work with middle school kids. But now this year, he's kind of been hanging out by himself. So with lots of great support from admin and teachers, nothing like that, but I just want to let you know that, so. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, that's a hard word. But there is legislation right now going through and at least being proposed. It's House File 2178. About actually changing that language to 250 at the state level. So currently the language says each school district shall work toward the goal of having 1 qualified school counselor for every 350 students enrolled in the school district. The proposed new legislation would say each school district shall have 1 qualified school counselor for every 250. So really not making it a goal anymore, making it a strict, like, you need to have this. So there is legislation that exists that's trying to go through. I think that just also proves the point of why do we need school counselors? Why is it important to have that ratio? And we're gonna get a little bit to that now. I'm gonna walk around and let you guys see this, but it's a great visual to see. But then if Sandy.
Yeah, I can chat a little bit about it. What she's sharing right now is kind of like, we talk about the MTSS model a lot in education, right? So you've got this 3-tier model, and you've got 80%, and you've got like 10, 15, and then like this top 5%. So as a school counselor, as a program as a whole, you would have your counselor working with like 80% of those, like you have that whole curriculum, and then you'd have your 15% that they'd be working with some tier 2 kids, and then they'd be working with only like 5 or 10% of those top 3 kids. So that's what the diagram she's showing you here now. And so in each of our buildings, our program looks a little different. And so in each of our, it might be flipped and reversed in some of the buildings. I think Ray, as we were talking as a department last week, that was one of the things that we kind of noticed is, as we were chatting through that, like Ray doesn't get to do all of the work with all the kids, or even like the majority of them. Like he does a lot of reactive kind of work. So he doesn't get to hit all those kids that he should be in the 5th to 8th grade. So it's really more reactive, but that MTSS model really should be that he should be able to impact all kids through core curriculum, or he should have access, all kids should have access to counseling services. They do, because he's there every day, but that doesn't mean they have the ability to get that time or whatever with him. He does great with like the small groups and individuals when he has that time, but a lot of his time, and we'll go through that in a little bit, is spent with like that top tier 3, so middle school it might be really flipped. In my building, I feel really privileged that admin has been really great, we've worked out the process. I feel really privileged, actually, we can't put it on the camera. That I feel like we are working towards that MTSS model. I get to kind of hit all kids, but then I spend a good time with my tier 2 kids and what I need to do with my top 3 kids, like top tier 3 kids. Like I have a good balance, like I have this much time I spend with my top tier 3 kids, this much with my middle kids, and then this much with all of my kids, right? I get to do a lot of that. I had a chart put together at the time that I do spend, for elementary, it's just for me. Joanne's would look different at Lincoln, but a lot of I have 25% of my time spent in whole classroom stuff, curriculum wise. So I'm touching base with all kids every week. I have about 25% of my time that I get to do with individual and small groups. So that'd be tier 2 kids, but every kid has access to that. Sometimes it just might be a kid that needs some extra friendships, social skills, self-regulation skills. But then I spend a little time probably about, we're looking at, let's see, so I've got the 504 stuff, I do attendance phone calls, like that top tier 3, so 12, so I would say about 15% of my time is probably spent with that tier 3 group. So I feel like I have a pretty good balance. And then I make a lot of parent phone calls and collaboration, and I do some planning and working with different community agencies and that kind of thing. So at my level, I feel like it's been balanced really well because I feel like our admin we just have a really great plan in place. I feel really blessed about that. And Joanne's she might be a little bit reversed. She has a lot of kids she sees every week. Some of it's really proactive and some of it's not as much, but I can't speak for her specifically because she's not here. But that's on my MTS. I feel like at my level as the youngest building, we do have a really good system of that MTSS set up. Lincoln, they work towards that really well. I know her and I just chat a little bit, and I know they're working towards that. She does her very best to get as many kids in as she can and work with that system as best she can. But I know she does a lot of reactive kind of stuff too, but they have a different set of needs over there too. You know, I had those kids. All right, so middle school wise, so I don't know, Ray wants to kind of talk a little bit about.
Middle school wise, I am more in the tier 1 as I do a 5th grade class, teach a 5th grade class where I do character from in that class. So my impact is mainly with the middle school students. So they are the ones that mostly I see just to come in to the office to talk about things and to share things with me. I do run a couple of groups with 7th and 8th graders. And I also run some individuals with 7th and 8th graders. So that's kind of like the middle, the tier 2. When I go to tier 3, normally when kids are in that behavior mode and they come down to the intervention, and then the intervention kind of talk to them first, and then if they need that extra support, they will send them to me. And so when it comes to 8th grade, I'm not as much with them as I should be. I have taken a few 8th graders to a college or two with the NIAC and went to Drake. So I do try and get them ready for career in college. So I do a little bit of that, but I do more with 7th grade and more with 8th grade.
So we talked a little bit, and I asked Ray about prompts and some questions about what he does each day. Who he sees, how many kids he sees. So he does see about 25 to 30 kids out of the 450 kids. He has to see about 25, 30 of them every week in individuals and small groups. And does have to turn kids away for some of that because he doesn't have time. The tier 1, it's kind of lacking because he doesn't get to know all those kids. Obviously, he's one person to 450. Like he doesn't get to know all those kids. 5th, 6th, he knows the 5th grade as well. So that reactive stuff more than proactive, and as a comprehensive counseling program, we really want to be more preventative and more proactive, but he does a lot of that reactive work. But on a positive note, like if he does make really positive and proactive relationships and connections with the kids he does touch base with. But when he's only seeing 25 or 30 of those kids, those are going to be those top 3 kids, not not the gamut of all the kids that he should be spending time with, right? That's not a big chunk of kids out of 450.
And I
And
will
so
say, Ray doesn't toot his own horn.
No.
I heard that the other day about him.
I'm just gonna do it for him.
He does great with the capacity that he
Oh, 100%. He is amazing. We are very, very lucky and blessed that you stayed as long as you have, because it's a lot for him. And so then we asked, I said, well, what would you do if you had somebody else? Like he would develop more student leaders. He's like, he wants to do more college and career readiness stuff with 8th graders. So he doesn't get to do as much as he wants to do with that. He would do a lot more individual work with anxiety and depression and behaviors and impulsivity with both students. But imagine only working with 30 of those kiddos. And just making those connections. And so I guess our thought on that was, imagine many more connections he could make, even another counselor could make. Like that's just not a huge amount of kids that he's able to connect with and help and make a difference with. So we just wanted to let you know like what his role looks like every day. So.
And then just talking a little bit about the high school, a lot of our time is spent at that tier 1, which sounds great in theory, but we do so much scheduling. We build the master schedule, like that's a whole process and beast in itself, I'm learning. And like Lori doesn't even have a big grasp on it, but we're learning together and it takes a lot of time. And then you have to put kids into their classes and schedule them, and that takes even more time. I mean, I spent my first 2 weeks of my career, as far as when school started, doing schedules, when I could have been building relationships with kids during that key time when they're getting to high school for the first time. I didn't get to do that. I don't even get to know half of the students right now because I'm brand new and I'm still learning. And I spent so much time doing schedule changes. Other stuff on that tier 1 level, I mean, you're looking at the course handbook. That's a big part of scheduling. You're looking at AP testing, PSAT testing, ACT prep. Scholarships are my big thing right now with my seniors. College and career readiness, we coordinated everything as far as Zello and Character Strong for our social emotional curriculum. Applications for jobs and stuff, financial aid and FAFSA. I've been doing a lot of that with my kids right now, my seniors, academic support. Ray and I and Lori are working on 4-year planning for 8th graders because that's even another beast that comes up around this time. You gotta get kids ready for high school, even though it's February, comes up a little sooner than you think. But they're our first step when it comes to master scheduling because we gotta make sure they're in their 9th grade classes. Then we move on to our kids with IEPs and making sure they got their classes that they need and the support they have. And then we can do all the rest of them. And that's another 400 something kids. So it gets kind of crazy. Otherwise, aside from tier 1, we are probably more involved in the tier 3 level because we're being reactive to everything. I don't personally get to spend a lot of time doing tier 2 stuff. My individual check-ins, my small groups, I've not been able to do that. And neither has Lori in her time here. Because we spend so much time at that tier 1 level. I want to be able to do that. I'm not saying we need another counselor at the high school. We just need to be able to create new systems, get a balance, and that's something that Lori and I work really well together on doing. So that's awesome. But yeah, that's a little bit about our role. It's more reactive than I want it to be than preventative, and that's kind of why we're having this discussion today about the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, because for Ray and for us, I would love to be able to build more connections and relationships with these kids. Because I want them to feel like they had somebody in their back quarter for everything related to school, whether it be academic, personal, social, whatever it might be. And I don't want to be just that person that you're like, oh, I saw them one time in high school. That's what I hear from like adults that are way older than me. And they're like, I saw my counselor once and that was because I was graduating. I don't want to do that. I want to be that person that they can see more than once. And it's not because it's just a bad thing, it's because they want to show good things.
That's what a comprehensive program counseling program is really designed to do, to be proactive and preventative in nature, which would be kind of what we're up to talking about next. So we have been really lucky that we got to start a professional learning community this year as a counseling department. We are working really, really hard with our goal of developing a sequential K-12 proactive and preventative comprehensive district counseling program, which is exactly why we chose to have this conversation with you, because it's really difficult to do that, the numbers we're at. But we really want to congruently work with the district with their goals and their mission, work collaboratively as a K-12 department. We really want to hit those goals, and it really is important. Like we all know how important that connection with your counselor is gonna be when we talk about mental health, depression, anxiety. Without those people, to have the access to those people, the time to see those people, we kind of, it does not look kind of grim for some of these students. And so our goal, what we're really passionate about, is that proactive and preventive counseling comprehensive program. And that is what we want to happen for our district. We want to happen for our kids and our families. We want parents to say, oh, we know Mr. Cole up there. He helped my kid when he was going through a really rough time. Or Miss Brandau, oh, when my daughter was really struggling with anxiety, and she was really there for my kid. Like, we get that academics, that college and career readiness stuff is important, but we also want to help kids in all of the capacities. We want to be very much proactive and preventative. We have some district beliefs that we would, department beliefs, but basically it's just back down to all students. We want to impact all students in a proactive way. We want them to all achieve. We believe that all students can achieve if they have the right opportunities to do that. We just feel like the comprehensive counseling program is such a vital piece to our school district and to our students. And the work we do is very important. And we don't, for any reason, ever feel like it's like, we know that our administration and our families and our students 100% support what we do, because they do know that we're vital. I know we all feel really valued in our positions. We do. That's not what we're saying. We want to do better for our students and our families. And it's very hard to do that with the numbers that we have right now. Not for me, definitely not for me, and even not for high school at this point. They're just, the systems are maybe a little backwards, but like for Port Ray over here, I want to do better for our middle school kids, especially our middle school kids. I mean, we're talking 450 kids, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, who have really high needs, and they're not going away. And so as a department, through the PLC and the work we've been doing, we've really decided that that's what we want to work on, is that proactive and preventative. And one of the things that we need is just to have the numbers to balance out. And we understand budgets and all that, but we just wanted to come here tonight to really let you know some of the things that we do with kids and why we feel like it's important to really stick to some of those numbers, So, questions?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it up for questions. I just know what.
So you mentioned that there's, in district-wide, we have 5 counselors now, and then there's social workers also.
We have one.
One.
Mhm.
Okay, what is social workers' responsibility? How is that different than what you guys do?
That, Dr. Schroed, is a really great question. And when she came on board 4 or 5 years ago, okay, I was here. I was at one here. Okay, I'm looking around the room. I think I was. Honestly, the roles were never clearly defined between social worker and counselor. They kind of got enmeshed. But initially, her job was to support the middle school counselor a couple days a week. That was never outlined. We don't know how that looked. It sort of evolved to what, like, this is what the counselor does. We thought it was gonna look, the roles aren't defined, I'm just being really honest, they're not defined. Now, this year, she went K-12, and I know one of her main focuses is really top 3 kids, top tier 3 kids, but attendance, and she is running ragged with the attendance stuff. Like, we have a lot of kids who miss a lot of school, and so I know she's very, very busy with that on her plate right now. My thought is, like, we have social workers who work with all kids. Like, this would be what Ray would be doing, working with all kids. They'd have access to small groups as individuals, to private counseling, whatever that might be. That social worker then would be working with our really top 3 kids, our families in the community, getting them access to resources, community agencies, working with those really attendance kids, those high flyers, juvenile court, like, those sort of like kids that really are struggling, like DHS, like those. That's how I would envision it. I was not a part of like those roles and those discussions. I don't know that any of us were, and honestly, I don't think they ever got defined. So that's my professional opinion on that, but that's just a Sandy opinion.
I did not probably prepare to look at the website and look at staff. Is there a department head?
No, we have a PLC facilitator, that is me, but we do not have like a department head.
And that was just established.
No, it's just me to do that, it's just.
This is-
And I.
But I don't, yeah, I wouldn't say that's the department head, but that's the only leadership we have in the department.
And I will say, as far as, like Jenna Haglin's our school social worker, I cannot comprehend how she could do a lot of impact in the schools as far as outside of her attendance and connecting families to resources and DHS stuff. I don't think I can comprehend her being able to do some of those individual check-ins and small groups that they have the capacity or at least the qualifications to
Right.
do, but I can't comprehend that.
How she could do that in this district.
As a K-12 school
Yeah.
counselor, so it's hard for us to assume that she could even support Ray
Mhm.
K-12,
Yes,
let
right.
alone 6-12.
Right,
No,
and, yeah,
I'm just kind of seeing how things have kind of sorted themselves out.
Yeah.
At least so far,
Mhm.
for our district. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's probably any two districts that are the same.
No, for sure not, definitely not, none like us.
The Character Strong thing that we purchased sometime within the last couple of years. I think I was under the impression that, first of all, is that every grade level now?
Mhm.
That's, K through 12?
Yes.
Are there homerooms that students go to that is, there is some instruction on a regular basis?
At the high school level, I can say that we have a schedule laid out for the whole year where it's every 3 weeks or so, they're doing Character Strong on Tuesdays. With the next week being a Zello lesson, because there's like 8 of those that they have to do throughout the year, so it breaks it up a little bit. But at the high school, we give the responsibility to our homeroom teachers to provide that SEL instruction. Because there's no way possible that I could even do it, or Lori and I could do it that capacity, but that's how we are implementing it there. At the middle school next year, we're hoping that we can get some more of that stuff solidified for them too.
The Zello stuff you mean, or,
Zello and Character Strong.
well, because right now, how does it work?
Well, right now, the homeroom teachers are doing some Character Strong, for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Like for the 5th graders, I do most of the Character Strong, and the teachers kind of piggyback off what I do, so they can reinforce that through their homerooms.
I know in elementary, I know it's probably different in my building, in every building, but I know in our grade, our teachers in their homes do teach it every morning, they have a lesson through there. So you can hear it being taught every day. I know it's just done differently, in each building. But I think, I know you're really in charge of a lot of that at the middle school, also on top of all the other stuff.
The primary goal tonight, though, is to entertain the idea that we need another person in the middle school. But I think another goal would be, or at least for me, to understand how our counseling department really works and helps. Because we're not unique in that we have some behavior problems that need addressed.
I appreciate
And I
that
would
so much.
assume that is part of what you guys should be involved in, ladies and gentlemen.
Behaviors, social, emotional,
Yes,
yes,
they're rooted in that stuff.
yes.
Right. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
We appreciate you listening. We appreciate the time, really, really good. Means a lot to us.
I do not believe that this is a agenda item that we make any decisions.
No,
Correct.
gosh, we know that. We 100% know that. We just wanted to make sure that we were thinking about these things is really what we wanted.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that is on all of our minds, address that.
thank you so much for hearing us out. And
I shared this presentation with Anne and Callie, because on the last slide, there are some feel-good stories, if you want to read into it. It was just things that make you feel good that
If you could email it, at least to me and the other board members, if they would like, that would be great.
I can absolutely do that.
All right,
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time so much. Thank you, guys.
have a good evening.
Yes.
Number 7 is Southwest Food Excellence Presentation. Sorry, I don't know your name, sir.
Mike Butler.
Mike Butler. Thank you.
Greetings, board from Southwest Food Service. My name is Mike Butler and I am the regional director for Southwest Food Service. So I oversee pretty much the center of the United States. I am here tonight with our new general manager, Brenda Jensen, who's also with me. Brenda, I believe, started last week. Is that correct, Brenda? Week before. She's a veteran now, basically, what you're saying. But yeah, Brenda's our new general manager, and she's overseeing all of the facilities here. Each of the schools have a lead, a person in charge of each individual cafeteria, and then those people report to Brenda. And of course, they report to me there, and I report to Paige. There's kind of our chain of command there for you as well. But tonight I was going to discuss a survey that we just completed. I believe that you guys were given a copy of that. Is that right? Basically, what we've done is we've done what we call the introductory survey. And basically what we're looking for is just some information to kind of help us understand, what students are looking for. So first we start out with asking questions, how often do you eat in the cafeteria, to kind of gauge, feedback about how often they're using the facilities. From there, we start to branch out a little bit more and talk about, how do you look at the food? I mean, what do you grade it as? Typically, we look at positive and negative responses. So if you look at the grading of breakfast and lunch, I think breakfast kind of broke down to, say, pretty close to 50-50, 50% positive, 50% questionable. We call it questionable because they have questions about it. They don't understand certain things, or they don't like certain things, or they think we can do something different. Lunch was more positive. Lunch was closer to 70% versus 30%. So that basically told us that, we're seeing that big push for lunch in the elementary schools, the junior high and the high school. So that's been very positive. As we come in, I always describe a food service relationship with a school district kind of like a marriage. I don't really know you, you don't really know me. So I'm bringing something that I need to demonstrate, or I need to prove myself in this relationship. And what I'm doing is bringing multiple menu items on a daily basis to the elementary, the junior high, and the high school level. So our menu is very diverse. We have 3,000 food items that we could menu at any given time on a menu to change it up. We don't run what's called a cycle menu. A cycle menu is one where you just go 4 weeks and just keep going around in a circle. We don't actually do that. We actually have quarterly menus where we put it in for 3 months, and then we switch it out for 3 months, and then we switch it again for 3 months. The challenge with that, of course, sometimes can be that it's a little overwhelming, I guess, for the people who work for us, because we're constantly giving them things to work on or to change. The other thing is that it's an educational thing as well for the kids, because I really like the one comment on there. They felt like a lot of things were processed. Actually, the only things that really are, we don't make hamburgers or breaded chicken sandwiches, but all the entrees we actually make from scratch. We strip the pork off, we shred beef, we make different entrees with ingredients that were given, and we put those together back in the kitchen. So they're actually getting a homemade meal, put together from scratch meal, in a lot of cases, almost daily, in the elementary, high school, and middle school level. So in the survey that we did, basically it came back that, we asked for their opinions about things that they're looking for. It's always entertaining to do that because they'll say things like pancakes. We have pancakes on the menu almost every week. Then we also do what's called breakfast for lunch, where we actually, for those kids who don't get a chance to have breakfast very often, we actually serve breakfast during the lunch period. But then they still get a chance to have a breakfast meal at a different time of the day. So it's been very positive for us, as you probably know. We're grateful that you brought us in. You are our first school district, and this is our first opportunity to serve in Iowa. And we are learning a lot about the school. We're learning a lot about the students, and we're learning a lot about what they want, what they don't want, which has been very educational for us. And we continue to focus on that, looking at our program and how it fits your students. An interesting thing today, I was standing out front, and a young man came up to me and he said, "Hey, man. Have you ever thought about having mashed potatoes and gravy whenever you serve like a Salisbury steak or something? And I said, I do now, you know? I said, you know, that's how we get feedback. If you want mashed potatoes and gravy when we have some type of a steak, whether it be, you know, meatloaf, Salisbury steak, a chopped steak or whatever, I said, I'll have mashed potatoes and gravy, you know, that's no problem. I can switch that like that, you know? He said, well, that's what I'm looking for. And I said, well, then that's what we're gonna work on, you know? But we have very good feedback from the kids, the high school kids specifically. We have a young man every day that, when I'm here, I talk to, and he usually gets every entree every day. And we sometimes have up to 5 entrees, 6 entrees on certain days at the high school. And I know him because the minute I see his plate, I immediately know it's him because he's the only person I know that does that. But he gives me a lot of feedback, positive, negative, you know, this is good, this is better, you know, this is what I'm looking for. So it really helps. So we're getting all that kind of feedback from the kids, and it's been very educational. I'm learning a lot about, you know, what they're looking for and what their expectations are. And that's very important. We're here to please them. They're our customer. So we put them first. So any other questions about the survey? Anything that I did not touch on that you would like me to respond to?
You mentioned, I think you said that we were your first school district.
That is correct, in the state of Iowa.
Oh, in the state of Iowa. Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I can't believe we were your first.
No, we have approximately 160 school districts across the United States.
Okay, cool.
And we're out of Arizona. So Arizona's the beginning, and then we kind of moved around the state a little bit since then, but this is our first trek up through the center of the United States.
The north central
Yeah,
area.
so we're just constantly moving up and over, you know, we picked up Ohio, Iowa, Indiana, so we picked up several states this last year. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a lot of waste, like by giving them choices, like how do you know how much of each entree to plan for?
That's an excellent question. The way that we do that is we have what's called a production record. So every day that we produce food, we track it. So on any given day, when let's say I do a hot dog versus a chicken nugget, I can see what the end result is of those 2 items in each school. So I can say, okay, we sold, you know, 300 chicken nuggets and we sold 5 hot dogs. So the next time I make that, that's going to be the base of where I start at. So based on, you know, what happened or what the mix is, we always call it the mix of how things mix together. Because when we have a really popular item and a really not popular item, like pizza versus a vegetarian wrap, you know, there's going to be that gap where we're going to go heavy to one side. We're going to have to super produce on one side and not hardly produce anything on the other side. So that's basically what we do. We track that. Every day we track it. So when we come back around to it again, we can pull that record back out and say, okay, this is exactly what we had. Now, in theory, that works extremely well, just so you know. But in non-theory, it doesn't always work perfectly because in any given day, all it takes is one child to say, hey, look, they have my favorite cheeseburger, and the next 25 kids after that student will get a cheeseburger. So it can change, you know, on a dime. When we first got here, I did not believe how many hamburgers we went through because it seems like every student wanted to eat a hamburger. And we have all this other food, but it was always about hamburgers. So we upped the number of hamburgers. Well, they finally realized that there were other areas to get food from that wasn't a hamburger, so they started visiting some of those. So we've slowly declined the hamburgers back down and up the entrees because they actually moved over to the entree line now. So it's a daily thing. I mean, to be honest with you, we keep food prepped all the time. We have to throw in an extra tray of chicken sandwiches. Chicken sandwiches are big here. So not as big as they used to be because now they're actually getting other things instead of a chicken sandwich. Today was chicken sandwich day. And, you know, we had several left over. So one thing that we typically do with something like that is the next day we might chop them up and put them on a salad or do something different the next day. If we don't have anything scheduled for the next day, then yeah, there's going to be some waste involved. But the nice thing about it is that waste is included. You know, when you operate a school, there's a certain amount of waste that's automatically planned, that there's going to be food thrown away. And the purpose of that is that every student should be given the same opportunity to eat every single item. If we offer 5 items to student number 1, then student number 201 ought to get the same 5. So to make that happen, there's going to be a certain amount of waste that's going to be planned.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
How do you, if you have several items, how do you get that information out to the kids about their choices this week or next week?
Yep, we have an app that we post the menu on that people can go on their phones and actually see, the parents can see what we're offering so that they can make those decisions sometimes for the smaller children. But we have reader boards and elementary, or not the elementary, I'm sorry, in the high school and middle school, there's reader boards where the menu is posted. And we also post a menu, and then we also post daily menus. So they can actually see, you know, like what's gonna happen the next day that they're coming down. Or the reader board might say, this week we're having this on this day, and this day. So there's several different places that if they're looking for that information, they'd be available. Anybody else?
More beef,
Yeah.
more beef.
More beef.
All I see is chicken on there.
Hey.
More beef.
You're not
That's commodity people. We gotta get those state people to get some beef on there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time and thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate it.
I have.
Started good with cheeseburgers and all of a sudden we pushed the chicken. It's on
Their
there.
favorite though, everything's chicken,
Wow.
chicken, chicken and cheese, chicken tacos. Yeah.
Where's the fish?
Number 8, Mr. Murley, Steve Murley is from McPherson Jacobson Recruiting Firm and going to talk to us about the process of recruiting our superintendent or when hires, darn it.
I'm hungry too, by the way.
Yeah.
For the food people. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm just gonna walk you through the process real quickly, and give you a little update on, conversations I had this afternoon. So this is a 5-step process. In the first part, we'll work on a profile, that'll include, characteristics, of the individual that you are looking for, and also understand what that person needs to know about the community when they come in. The timeline that we have proposed for you is to pull us to the end of the process, the end of April, beginning of May, which is tight and we're moving quickly. Talked to Dr. Schroed about that, and I know one of the questions that he expressed was, do we have enough time given where we are in the season? I said we do. Right now, whoever you hired, if they are a sitting superintendent, that district may be a little challenged, but you're in good shape with that. So that timeline will carry us through to the end of April and beginning of May. As part of that, in addition to developing the profile, we will post that position, and we will work to actively recruit people that match that profile. One of the things I shared with them is after we build the profile, we actually go out and target folks that we think would be a good fit here, given the way that you described the position and the needs that you have as a community. We'll work with you on the advertisement process to make sure that the largest number of people are aware of that. After we've gone through that process, we again will have an application that's unique to the district. And after recruiting those folks, we will develop a pool. Another thing that Dr. Schroed and I talked about, which is really important, is we will bring you all of the candidates, regardless of whether or not we think they're qualified for the position. They may not even be certified as a superintendent, but you'll have the opportunity to see the full slate of candidates, every single person who applies for this position. And then after that, we will work with you to narrow that initial pool down to 6 semifinalists. Those folks will do some video interviews so you can get a chance to understand a little bit more about them in a 3-dimensional format. And then after that, we'll work with you to narrow that down to the final 3. And then we will bring those 3 in for the interview process and the selection process. So that's it in a quick nutshell. Just a couple of comments. I had the opportunity today to start the profile process. I met with administrators and teachers throughout the district. And we asked 4 questions as part of that profile. One of those questions is, what are you proud about from the community? Tell us about Charles City and the things that are good. I heard about community programs. I heard about the friendly and welcoming community. I heard about the fact that people graduate and then come back. It doesn't happen in every community. I talked about support from the community, the highly involved community members, a servant-minded mindset. So really positive, and that was just again in those first few conversations I had with folks. In terms of the school, focus on the academics, the really strong CTE programming you have, the openness to change that people have, their willingness to step up and volunteer when needed, and then a lot about the quality of the extracurricular programs across the entire spectrum. So the next step in that process is we will publicize a link, and that'll go out through the website that I'll share with Callie, and she'll get that out tomorrow, which will give everyone in the community the opportunity to answer those same 4 questions. I'll still be doing some in-person meeting with folks in order to gather some more information. We'll leave that open for a couple of weeks, and then we'll use that to build that profile. We'll bring that back to you for approval. Once you've given that your green light, then we'll be ready to post. So that's it in a quick nutshell. Dr. Schroeder, other members of the board, I'd be happy to answer additional questions for you about the details of the process.
One of the things that I just thought of as you were talking was, we haven't sat down amongst ourselves or with current administration and talk about a salary package and things of that sort. Do you do any research about what are comparables and how to present a salary package?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we will do is we can look across the state for other like-sized districts. We can also look geographically within your AEA. And even regionally, a little bit bigger than the AEA, but smaller than the state. So you get a chance to take a look at what other districts your size are at in terms of that salary piece. We'll also look at those that are currently posted, so you know what the competition looks like.
And did you ask those final 3 what their expectation is for salary as well?
Yes, yes, we'll do that as part of that process too. When we bring them in, one of the things that I will do is I'll actually interview each of them ahead of time. And that's one of the questions that I'll make sure that they know where you're at and where they want to be, and make sure that there's an opportunity for that.
Sounds good.
All right. So again, next step in the process, and I've already given her the link, is it'll go live on the website tomorrow. So I would definitely encourage you here to encourage as many people as possible to fill that out. It's short, it's 4 questions, 4 dialogue boxes. It gives you an opportunity to put all your thoughts in there, and then I'll start compiling that and build that profile.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Forward to it. Number 9, approval of the consent agenda. Look at all those items. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Seems that's a consent agenda. It just calls for a vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Committee reports. And, facilities, finance, negotiations and policy. Policy is easy. I think we went through a whole bunch of policies.
Some of which are included on the agenda.
Yep, they're there for first and second reading. One of them, there's some of them are there for first reading. Nothing stood out to me. There were changes that were recommended by the ISB and other sorted people that we looked for.
Yeah, the main one was just that current handbook about the dances, but that was pulled in separately just for.
Yeah. Several were just stay the same, so there's nothing that stood out to me, so. And then we just work our way up, negotiations and compensation, anything that you wanted to mention about. Catherine.
When do we meet?
We met and we went over the insurance.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's
Yep,
the
that was a big
biggest
part of
thing.
it,
I was like, I know we're gonna meet.
Yep.
The biggest thing with negotiations is just trying to continue to navigate balanced budget
Mhm.
and what health insurance costs will be for the district employees. So that's still ongoing because we're just continually trying to think of the most creative ways to keep premiums within reasonable amount.
Oh, no.
So no news there, still ongoing.
Finance. Bruce.
Talked about a whole lot of things, I guess. From the route for the buses that we're getting set up for our pre-K students. Talked about the negotiation things we discussed. Some a few other things that we've discussed were balancing contract hours and things of that nature. And trying to really hone in on sharpening our pencil to get our solvency ratio where we want. It's looking like our levy rate will most likely have to be increased. We're still sharpening that pencil, and I think we'll probably discuss that a little more in our work session next week. And the folks from Piper Jeffrey are gonna step in that night, I believe. And give us kind of an update. That way you guys can understand what I get to hear from someone a lot smarter than me. So, yeah, there's a ton of things going on. Some folks working very hard between Ann and Callie that, I mean, I could not imagine sitting there banging your heads against this thing, but they're working tirelessly to get.
We do have to make some decisions though, to maintain.
Yes, there will be
solvency and move forward
correct.
Responsibly.
Yep.
Okay. And on the work session, we're gonna be discussing that in more detail, right?
I believe so. We'll try and hash a lot of that stuff out, and that'll be a one that'll, in my opinion, may be a very stressful conversation, but it needs to be had.
Yeah.
So the general public understand where we're at, where we're going, and how we're gonna really hone this thing in and get us back on track in the healing process.
And maintaining our primary goal of being an educational school. Facilities, we had a meeting this last Friday, and several items were on that. We have a goal of updating our kitchen this summer. There is some monies out there in the county. I can't remember the name of the account, but
On the nutrition fund.
nutrition fund that can be used to replace the equipment that's not attached to a wall. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
In the kitchen, so we're getting estimates, and we've got some numbers for replacing that. And then there was some movement that Jerry suggested for rearranging how the rooms were used. And we're getting an estimate for putting an air conditioner in the kitchen area. That's as part of this summer's project. So we hope to get the numbers and as well as get that done this summer. So the kitchen personnel have it's reliable and be a part of a good meal program. The next thing, there's some issues with the common gym floor. That's the competition gym at the middle school. It's shared with fine arts, and there's some issues with the number of days that interferes with physical education classes, and there's some issues with moving heavy things across the floor that have accidentally damaged the floor that cost money to repair. So we're looking at options for having the fine arts in different area. More on that as we get decisions made. The next thing for helping with the high school is we're getting estimates to redo all the bathrooms in the high school to bring them up to current code, ADA code, and the codes that they have to should abide by. And so we're hoping that we can fit that in, not this summer, but the next summer to do that. Getting numbers, there's certain electrical things that are in need of updating in the high school also. Information on that. We discussed painting, and actually the school has kept up very well with painting. But that's another issue that we're looking at to make sure that the school, its appearance is good. So we're keeping that in the forefront also. As we have since the main circle and 500 circle was to be removed with part of the airline project. And that is not something that we're going to proceed with. We wanted to have some other use. That's a big area. And we were interested in getting some suggestions. So we're looking at ways to get suggestions of how to use that area and make it productive. And then Jerry is looking at the ceilings in the high school. He's got a gentleman that comes in May that is a consultant for the school district in asbestos. He's believing that all the ceilings do not have asbestos in them. If that's the case, he has some changes and that he wants to do with the ceilings that will make them more presentable and there's some issues with chipping and things of that sort now, so they stop them. So, but they look good and do not chip. And then the last thing was we were going to have a engineering firm come in and give us estimates on the boiler, piping system, air conditioning to the cafeteria and the 400 circle, which is the music room. And there was a third thing. So plumbing, right?
Below ground septic system.
So, yeah, the below ground septic system. So we will get, that's gonna be a request for qualifications. Firms can give us information about themselves and what they would believe needs to be done and the cost of that. And then we can choose from those who present proposals if we want to proceed with something or if we don't. So apparently it's a different way that schools are allowed to give bids for work. Sounded reasonable from when Jerry explained it to us. So we're looking at these projects, starting with the kitchen this summer, bathrooms next summer, electrical some point in time, and depending on the cost of other items, whether that needs more funding than we have available, or we can do that throughout this time period also. So the financing of that is not even consideration that we don't know the numbers.
No, just to kind of clarify, the RFQ for the engineering firm is we're putting out, like you said, a thing for qualifications. What they would do is come in and evaluate the systems that he mentioned, the HVAC system, the septic system, the electrical. And with an engineering firm, we can really pinpoint some of the primary areas that Jerry's brought to our attention that he would like to have someone give him a second set of eyes. And in that process, those firms, with an engineering firm, we can be so specific that they can come back with other contractors and an idea of what the status is currently, how we can move forward, if it's a repair, replace, or completely get rid of, however it works, and then goes from there. So essentially, they're just gonna give us a more defined evaluation to move forward with, and then we can move on with either their suggestions or find our own contractors to make those repairs if that's needed.
So we're looking forward to that. Early stages. Moving on, next item. Administrators, directors. That is our elementary. Where do we go first? Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you, Mr. Carmen.
You have the Washington presentation.
It's on the agenda.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I've been a frequent visitor for you, but we're just gonna go over the goals that we set as a building earlier this school year and talk about our progress. Two of the things you've already heard from me about that I've been evaluating as part of my goals were evaluating TK as a program. We talked about that, and then evaluating our preschool program as well, which we've talked about as well. And we've got that kind of straightened out. Number 11A, yeah.
Big applaud to you on the pre-K thing and the work you've done there with the transportation, all that. You're getting a lot of good feedback.
Thank you all for that as well, and for Dr. Lundquist and Jerry and Sam, they really helped get all that put together. Yes, that is me. Thank you. All right. So our strategic plan, we have some different teams that make up our school community. So we have our building leadership team. That they are the ones that helped kind of build our goals last fall. And then we also have a PBIS leadership team that is in place to sort of guide our expectations and sort of the environment that we have at our school. We also have tier 2 and tier 3 teams. We call those the tier 3 team our student assistance team. And so those have been put in place this year and have been really helpful in kind of identifying kids that need extra support in attendance or academics or behaviors. And we have groups that talk through that. So I'm just going to speak more to our academic goals tonight. So our first goal, we had last year, we were at 57% proficient with our FAST literacy. And our goal was to get all the way up to 70. I actually had to talk my staff down from 75. They wanted 75. We thought 70 was reasonable because that's still a very, very large jump, 13%. And then our second goal, we have, so there's a conditions for learning survey that's in Iowa, but it's not given to kids our age. So we kind of transformed it and made our own questions and give that to our students 3 times a year. Last year, 87% of students said they felt safe at school, which is fantastic, but it's not 100%. And so we set a goal of 93%. Of course, we would like it to be 100, but we wanted to have some sort of measurable increase. And so we'll talk about both of those. Go ahead to the next slide, please. So what we've done for literacy, so we're kind of in this transition right now. We use the units of study for reading and writing. This year we're using Bookworms, which is an online curriculum, and we're in the process of adopting a new curriculum. So there was kind of a lot of different things happening, people using different stages of different things. And so kindergarten and first grade now are all using Bookworms exclusively. And so that has really helped with the same language, the same planning, all of that has been improved. We have really, really emphasized foundational skills. So when we talk about that, we're talking about segmenting words, letter sounds, being able to break words apart, put them back together. And the data that we have that we collect with part of our early reading program shows that we're making great progress. I'll talk more about that when we talk about the FAST data. We have intervention groups that are in kindergarten and first grade. What we've done, and that's the last bullet there, is maximized our human resources. So we try to get every available paraeducator, every available teacher, all of them take a group because you're talking about grade levels with almost 100 students. So trying to get them down to a manageable size group takes a lot of adults to do that. And so we've really tried to build groups around that. Go ahead. So when we take a look, I froze up here. So when we take a look at literacy achievement, so, oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. I thought it froze. So one of the things that we noticed with our first grade data is that we have emphasized foundational skills so much, and they are very, very good at the foundational skills, is that we haven't, and our curriculum hasn't pushed fluency as much. And as we look at the winter and spring tests, especially in first grade, it really gets into more about fluency, kind of building onto that second grade. So we are planning, and we are already increasing opportunities to improve that fluency. We have teachers at kindergarten and first grade piloting ELA resources for possible adoption. And then one of the things that we've been really good at is creating the intervention groups. We want to get better at monitoring those and moving kids when they're ready so that we're not keeping them stuck in that same group for a long time. You can go on to the next one there. So one of the things that we're really, really pleased about is our really great reading program starts in preschool. And one of the things that we've seen this fall is that our kindergarten data, they came in really, really proficient. So they were at 72% in the fall and have increased now to 77%. And beyond that, so on the left side is how proficient they are. So this is right here. This shows fall and winter. And then this is the growth. So from fall to winter, we had 80% of our students show growth And the different colors, so the dark red is flat growth. The pink is not very much growth. The dark purple is typical growth, and then the lighter lighter purple is aggressive growth. So we have 80% having typical or aggressive growth in literacy in kindergarten. Then you can go on to the next one. In first grade, the news has not been quite as good, but that goes back to that emphasis on fluency. Like I said, we have really stressed the foundational skills, and our kids are rock stars at the foundational skills. They can segment, they can blend, they can do all those things extremely proficiently. One of the things that happens in first grade is that there's a different test from fall to winter. So the testing changes from segmenting to reading a passage. And our students just hadn't had enough exposure with that. So we went from 49 to 51, but we're expecting to see a much bigger jump in the spring. All right. And then if we want to go on to our student safety goal, what we've done, we've created the student safety survey. We've given it twice so far. So we've given it each time we've had a fast testing window, we've given it just after that. And then we'll give it once more in May. And as I mentioned, our tier 2 and student assistance teams, so they alternate weeks. So 1 week, Thursday, the tier 2 team will meet. The next week, the student assistance team meets. We are really fortunate because we pull in our school nurse, we pull in our district social worker, we pull in AEA representatives that help with behavior. And so they are all there on our student assistance teams to help support us. And then we're going to collect that data one more time. Our teams will continue to analyze the data. And then I actually started this last bullet today, following up with individual students who said they did not feel safe at school. And thankfully, it's a very small number. And we'll get to that in the next, and I believe last slide. So we actually had identical data from fall to winter. 96.4% of our students feel safe at school. That was one of our biggest goals when we came in this fall, was to really help kids feel safe. We've talked about this a lot. One of the things that we've done is we really have tried to limit the number of adults that are in the building without identification. So last year, I think a lot of parents just took their kids to class every day. And we've really stopped them, tried to stop them at the door. If they are going to come in, they're going to put on a visitor badge, they're going to sign in. We're going to know they're there. So just put these numbers in actual kids. We're talking 6 kids. In kindergarten and first grade. So we have about 190-ish kindergarten and first graders. 6 of them don't feel safe at school. And one of the kindergartners today, I asked her, you said that you don't feel safe at school. And I said, can you tell me when that happens? And she said, well, when I'm running in class, or when I'm running in the hallway. So she really did not understand the question fully. She was talking about when she was unsafe at school. But there are some legitimate concerns, and we'll address those as well. But 5 or 6 kids, we're pretty pleased with that. Obviously, until we get to 100%, we're not done. Any questions about our data? Okay. I'll let anybody.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Dan Phipps, Lincoln Elementary. Find mine too. As I was talking about, I have way too many words on my side, so I won't hit you guys up on all of that. I have 3 goal areas. I've got math, literacy, and a positive culture. You can go ahead and kick down this slide too. Similar to Joe, we developed a couple of different areas. Our building leaders, our content PLC facilitators, our building leadership team. We meet twice a month and we go over our goals and what we've designed here tonight for you guys. Our instructional coaches, our lead teacher, and myself. And social emotional, we got span of care, instructional coaches, school counselor. Similar like Mr. Carney was saying, we also developed our tier 1, tier 2. And then I know Dr. Lundquist really pushed us on our student assistance team this year, trying to develop that. That's been huge. And we meet once a month get a group of people together and really look at our tier 3 component piece on that. Go ahead and go to the next one. Like I said, I've got math, literacy, and the culture area. My building, I had to have those due to our SI plan on that for school of assistance. So these are the areas that we were working on or focused on for us. At the end of the year, by May 2024, these are our progression in both MAP and our ISAP. We won't have those scores until our next presentation we'll do later in the school year for you guys on that side of it, but that is our growth areas to hit those. One of the other things, this is something similar we were doing, like Mr. Carney showing, like things that we're doing in our building, increasing number quarter for the math component piece, bridges. We've got a new curriculum this year. I'm excited when we get to that data component piece to show you that. Our instructional coach cycles, we use our instructional coaches a lot just to be able to hit the different areas of needs inside of our buildings. Unit-based, systematic collection of data, user form assessments and grade level study with our teachers. Moving forward, we have math literacy night coming up in April 11th. We're really trying to expand that. Parents are gonna be able to come in. We have a couple of teachers really driving that home. It's gonna be kind of a cool night, but we're gonna have different community members coming in and really doing a lot of different fun things in our building for that. Data wise, okay, so proficiency, this is kind of a cool data with our MAP and our bridges component piece that we've implemented. So really excited about the growth we've been seeing this year. A lot of growth area with that. So I mean, I think that's been huge. And I'm curious how that correlates over when we get our ISAP scores back. But you can see the grade levels there. Our fourth grade went up almost 7%, third grade that 15 point, and then second grade that 7. Overall growth, the super huge growth areas. Where our BLT, we're actually going to break that down. What does that mean? How do we keep that moving forward as that component piece comes on? Like I said, I'm really curious how that's going to correlate over to our ISAP score. That's exciting news. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead and hit one more. That was okay. Literacy. Same thing. We're looking at our fast bridges, our MAP, and our ISAP growth area on literacy. So it's similar to the MAP. Our math score areas, we'll be able to hit that again also. What we're doing, instructional coach support again, implemented really great reading, similar like Mr. Carney was talking about, engaged in AEA PD. At least one teacher, my fourth grade team has kind of broke up how one teacher's teaching language arts, so we'll do more math in that component piece. That's a new thing we're doing this year. At least one teacher on that side of it. 64 students are receiving title services. Our bookworm, so Mr. Carney was talking about. And then that MTSS, how can we do a better job with our PLCs? And we're working through those MTSS models inside of our building, which we're improving on. Moving forward, we're looking at new curriculum adoption. I think that's going to be huge as we look forward to our data moving forward. I know myself, Mr. Carney, were talking about that earlier. Just kind of like, what's the state going to kind of push on that? Like, what things can we adopt? What curriculums can we look at? So that's going to be some new areas that we have to look at also as we look at that adoption component piece. For data, this has been good. So like Mr. Carney was talking about, we really focus on an aggressive growth area. You can see 84% of our students in fourth grade show progression and growth, 87% in third grade, and then 81% in our second grade. So it's huge growth areas again, hitting our literacy area. Culture climate, like I said, our performance that's coming out for conditional learning. We won't have that until we do our next presentation on that side of it, but that'll be coming out in the spring. So we're really wanting to hit a better score, and I'll show you that at the end. Go ahead. Things we're doing, action teams. This is pretty cool. Every other Friday, our team will meet. We have 11 different action teams our students break out and actually do in the building. So that's a really good thing that we're doing on that side of it. Our building leadership team. That was something that we really started pushing a different format for that this year. Our PBIS, same as myself, Mr. Carney, work really close on this part and this component piece for our tier system, our 1, 2, and 3 with our student assistance team, purpose of people, safety strong. Some of our new curriculum we've adapted. Our PLCs, that we meet weekly with our teams with that. Something we started doing again this year is our Monday morning huddles. I just meet real quick with our teams, what's going on for the week. I did that this morning. Different component pieces are coming up with fire drill, just different nuts and bolts for our staff. That's been huge. Our lead teacher, she does a great job. She's a huge right-hand person for myself, helping with all these different curricular areas, PLCs, discipline, and this other building function areas. That's been a big add this year. Our parent advisory committee, we've had 1 meeting so far with that, 2 meetings, and we've had over 90% coming to that. Our parent teacher conferences is at 92.5. and increase positive media at school. And this, our span of care is also, we have 6 staff members that meet regularly for that. Okay, so what last year it scored at 45.1. State average is around 49.40. So obviously we need some improvement area on that. So we're hoping those things that we've done this year, we'll be able to see that this spring. I rattled a lot there, so there's a lot of stuff going on. It's awesome, Lincoln. Any questions for me?
Yeah. What math program are you guys using? Curriculum?
Bridges.
How long have we been using that?
This is our first year.
First year? You know what the middle school's using? I guess what I'm wondering is,
Edgermon's currently.
okay, yeah, they're okay. Are we making sure that whatever we're doing in K1, 2, 3, and 4, the kids ready to go to grade 5, so that whatever you're doing in math, literacy, and anything else, when they get to grade 5, they're overall ready within the bell curve?
That's what we're working on.
Yeah.
Okay. How well are we doing that?
I'm excited to see where, because those math scores we really bumped. So it'd be interesting to see how that correlates with our ISAP scores that we get back here pretty soon. So I think that would be a good question to answer that.
Not that this is for you. You can answer, but how if we're doing a little bit different curriculum using Agile Minds, let's just say for math, I'll pick on that. In middle school, and I don't remember what we're using in high school. Same one, right? Is what we're using in the elementary schools. If they get them ready, they're going to be, when they sit down in that first week, they're not going to find out, oh my gosh, we don't have such and such.
No, all of the curriculum are built from standards, and the Iowa core is very similar to the national standards for math, and so they address those standards, and so they should be very much
ready to go, whether it's math, English, right, whatever it's called. I can see that any of those subjects.
And every curriculum will have some gaps, but that's what, as we go through this, that's what our teachers will start to recognize and fill in those gaps so that they are prepared for those next grades.
How well are, at least in the elementary school, and I don't know how many different rooms we have for first grade or second, third, and fourth, but how well are we teaching so that however many, let's say there's 3 first grade classes, that they all are getting the same instruction over the year, and so we can have the same.
Yeah, we break that down to our PLC times. I mean, where does that instruction go on? Where for us, some of us, where does that work it at as we go down that component piece to make sure everyone's on that? I know I'm excited about that PLC work for next year on our Wednesday early outs, you know, how we align with that component piece. Other districts have been at, then you can start really getting into your question on that vertical and horizontal articulation, both up and back. And I think that's going to be huge when we have that component piece on those Wednesdays also. But yeah, right now we do have that PLC work on that side.
And I would say with that, our instructional coaches have been really instrumental in helping us implement the curriculum, but also really dig into it with all of the different pieces. So we're analyzing our kindergarten team, for example, last week recorded lessons. They watched them together, analyzed them together, so that they can see what somebody else is doing in their classroom and, you know, take notes from that. So, and actually they watch little bits of every person teaching. So they've been really instrumental in that. But yes, they plan together, they assess the same way, they discuss assessments together. So yes, they're doing that.
So the teachers are a part of this process too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Makes sense that first grade teachers talk amongst themselves about how they're doing things so that they're as a group accomplishing
absolutely
similar things than every grade, every subject, even that kind of thing. Okay. Sequential, getting a student from K to 12, right, is what do we want to be? We don't want to get it to 5. Right. Yeah. So, all right.
All right. Thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That right. Next.
What's going well in February 26th at Charles City Community Schools? 7 high school students participated in the University of Iowa Honor Band on February 17th and 18th in Iowa City. Congratulations to Gabby Devereaux, Anton Bittner, Ellie Gassman, Adrienne Yubera, Taylor Meyer, Avery Sheck, Mrs. Salinas for receiving this recognition. A number of our bowlers qualified for the state tournament. Congratulations to Claire Gherkin, Isabel Crawford, Peyton Hadley, Darian Hess, Kinley Baugh, Maya Stevenson. In addition, Claire, Peyton, Darian, and Kinley qualified for individual competition. Congratulations are also in order for Shane Grospek, Noah White, Keaton Ross, Sullivan Gerleman, and Joey Roble, Jaden Lopez, and Zach Putney. Noah White also qualified for the individual competition. And at the state tournament, freshman Noah White finished as a runner-up in the Class 1A individual championship, and senior Claire Gherkin tied for 5th. The boys and girls teams finished 6th in the team championship. Congratulations to Ellie Gassman for having 4 of her artworks selected for recognition in the statewide Scholastic Art Awards. Only 168 artworks from Iowa students in grades 7 through 12 were selected for an award, which makes her recognition even more remarkable. A number of FFA members have advanced to the district competition for leadership development, achieving gold, silver, and bronze recognition in the sub-district event. Congratulations to Kinley Baugh, Shay Bell, Josette Benning, Jocelyn Borman, Maisie Bruning, Madison Crooks, Bennett Hansen, Maddie Haas, Tyler Heights, Cameron Haft, Ayla McCabe, Amelia McKenna, Ava Molitor, Hunter Northrup, Emma Pritchard, Taylor Quaid, Emma Schmidt, Zach Song, Bryce Walker, and Callie Whitfield. Boys basketball team beat Hampton Dumont Cal last week in the Class 3A sub-state semifinals, winning 49-38, advancing to play Decorah tonight. At the district level, the Crisis and Life Safety Advisory Committee continues to meet regularly and is engaging in additional activities to increase safety and security throughout the district, including increased presence of law enforcement in all schools, visibility near all campuses before and after school. Moving forward with an agreement to employ a part-time school resource officer, or sometimes called a peace officer, next year through a shared 28E agreement with the Charles City Police Department. We're providing additional crisis response training with all staff in each of the buildings on April 12th as part of the staff development training schedule for the day. We're cooperating with the police department on a simulation activity to respond to an active shooter. The training session will take place in March at the high school, and it will involve law enforcement personnel and about 20 of our school staff personnel. And there's an addendum because there's so much going on that we want to celebrate. I just couldn't leave these kids out. Students had a great weekend at the district speech contest in Mason City this past weekend, with the following students earning a spot for the state competition in March. 9th grade, Jacob Jones, radio and solo improv. Deshaun Griffin, radio and acting. Blake Haft, solo improv. Jacob Deers, musical theater. Gracie Opp, poetry. And Savannah Baldus for spontaneous speaking. Finally, at the district level, conversations continue regarding potential areas for budget adjustments. As the Finance Committee is aware, we will share more details on that recommendation at our March 5th work session. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. New business. Middle school robotics club. School robotics trip.
Patrick Maverick, it's a coordinator. Sounds like it's a coordinator in the district. Also, coaches for our middle school robotics team. if we've heard that, we at regionals, December. Winning a region, we went to state championship, about 3 weekends ago.
Yeah.
They took first place overall in the Robot Challenge and second place. First place in the Robot Challenge, second place overall, in the state of Iowa. Which is, an incredible accomplishment. And so because of the team's success at the state level, second place overall, the team has been invited to represent Charles City on an international level at a tournament down in Florida that is invite only. At this tournament, oh yeah, look at that. So there's gonna be 87 teams, all 50 states represented. Over 20 international teams have also been invited to this event. And they're estimating 1,500 participants. It is at an aerospace engineering university in Daytona Beach, Florida. And our team's invited, we hope to go. So I'm hoping to give you, I have 4 requests of you this evening. Should be 4 easy yeses. This is the first one, is that we can go. So it will be 3 nights. This is all, of course, getting full permission and working with the families of these students to make sure that it works for each of them. We'll be flexible in our planning, so if students need to come late, leave early, we of course will be open to that. It's not cheap to fly.
Are you driving or flying?
Well, hoping to fly.
If you bring all your stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll check a big bag. It's not cheap to fly, not cheap to stay. So we're hoping as our second request this evening that you approve a fundraiser that we're hoping to put on in May this spring. Flip over, we can talk about actually here's
You guys are going the old school route with paper.
So this is thanks guys. This is the Comet Gym. And so the fundraiser we're hoping to put on in the spring is like collector's fair. So we have a number of tables that collectors of anything or things could like rent out. 3-hour event, $5 a table, $10 a table, something like that. One of our team members goes to Hot Wheels exhibitions and events and has a ton of fun doing it, and there's a big community of people who collect things. So just kind of a general collector's fair, whether it be cars, cards, games, vintage toys. If you're an artist and maybe you want to rent a table for $10 and put out 6 paintings, like kind of test the waters there. If you want to bake and sell baked goods, whatever it is. So if anyone who wants to come sell and trade, we just rent a table, and then anything that they make is theirs to keep. So really we're like renting out the space for the event. Also during the event, we hope to showcase some of the robotics, the team's robots, and then also as an extension of work I'm doing in the TAG program, starting work with robotics with a lot of other smaller groups, so they get to sort of learn a little bit about the robotics and experience that. And so for these students in my TAG programming to be able to showcase their work in a very authentic way. We have 3D printers coming, so we'd love to showcase those to the community. People could make custom orders because you can print anything. And like color choices, put names on it, and then our team's going to run some STEM activities for kids who show up. So like paper airplane contests, paper helicopter contests. They're going to do some research and we're going to pick a number of events, but $1 for a piece of paper. And for the next 20 minutes, airplane contest is open. So buy $1 or get a dollar, here's a piece of paper, a paper airplane with your name on it, and at the end of 20 minutes, we, longest distance gets a prize, whatever that may be. So sort of looking to have a bunch of elements to our fundraiser.
And also the concessions and baked goods as well. I think we're thinking to involve some of our parents and grandparents of the students as well.
So fundraiser to help cover, costs, for the tournament. And then if it happens to go very well and there's leftover money that would go towards, getting more teams started for future years. So Charles City can be, school where we're, seeing a lot of success in robotics. Brings me to their bullet point, using TAG funds for, to cover part of the, if you, President Schroeder would, item 3 here. Sorry, so item 1 is informational on the tournament. 2 is our fundraiser request. Item 3 is some documentation on Iowa code regarding the usage of TAG funds. If you would go to the back page, please. You'll see very clearly laid out appropriate and inappropriate use of TAG funds. This particular team, well, many of the robotics teams are like after school clubs. This team is not this. I've used this robotics league as a way to serve this group of gifted students, highly gifted students that we have in middle school right now. So what they've been doing with robotics is not an after school activity. It is in fact their curricular during the day TAG service. The students are all identified as gifted in the areas of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. And so this is part of how, as the TAG coordinator, I'm getting them service to align with our vision of challenging every student to meet their potential and finding experiences that are promoting innovation, creativity, problem solving. And I cannot conceive of a better way to serve these students than something like this. So the request this evening is to be able to use TAG funds for specifically event registration and for transportation. As you'll see there, inappropriate uses of TAG funds, administrative fees, and transportation are explicitly excluded from inappropriate uses of TAG funds. So there should be no reason why we can't use TAG funding to support a learning opportunity for these TAG students, or at least registration for the events and transportation to get there. We'd love to get approval to use TAG funds for hotels as well, but I understand that gets into a little more of a gray area. So that's where the fundraiser would come into play and then seek sponsorships. And students would pay any remainder. But we would hope to use TAG funding for at least event registration and transportation, which again, following Iowa code is very clearly well within the grounds of the appropriate use for these funds. Our fourth ask would be to start a middle school robotics account if necessary. So the high school robotics coach, myself, and Mrs. Beckman will meet at a later date to discuss what's the best way to move forward with accounts.
So the only thing on the agenda for tonight is to approve the club and approve the trip.
4 items.
I need this sheet to upload to.
Oh, okay, then can I submit that to you now?
Yeah, so we'll go on next agenda.
So I'll show up again next time we meet.
Yep.
Super. So what are my requests for this evening?
So I only got the robotics club to go into the activity fund. And the trip.
Middle school. Getting back to basics, right now we have a high school robotics club.
Yes, sir.
And we have a middle school robotics club.
We've started one this year. And we're calling it a club, but it's, again, I'm the talented gifted coordinator. So it's how it's the experience I'm providing to my TAG identified students. Yep. And so we like in the future, I'd like to have a number of teams, right, for different grade levels for TAG students, but then also like some after school clubs, which would exclusively have to come from different funding.
Yeah, that'd be different, right?
But this year for this team, it is a bit of an, not a common way to do it, I guess. But because of what the team is.
How many students are you?
7.
7. So, what we need to do is,
So right now it's, first one is to let them have an activity fund.
Yeah.
On the agenda item, yep.
that's A or,
Oh, that's A, yep, yep. So it would be like, just like the high school one, so they can start their club.
okay. So we need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the middle school robotics club and the activity fund.
Second.
discussion on that? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? You're on. The second one is
Is the music, or I'm sorry, is the robotics trip.
the trip, no, what are the dates for that?
It's from June 19th through June 22nd, so it's outside of the school year.
Okay.
We had 3 options of like invites to choose from, basically. And we chose this because it was the one that worked for all of the students on the team.
I was gonna say, I assume that everybody is okay.
Oh, they're so excited.
Yes, yes,
The families are okay.
yes.
With it, with
We
this,
discussed them with the teams, with the team and their parents, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so. And then the fundraising thing, we can, that's not gonna happen right away, and you'll do fundraising thing.
Yeah. Looking at May,
May.
Okay,
so depending on facility
Yes, I just need copy.
availability.
Make a motion to approve the middle school robotics to go to Florida for the final competition.
I'll second.
the Sunshine Invitation, 18th to 22nd. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's fine.
I guess I'll be back for items, like 2 and 3.
Right now, you're okay to go, but it's on your own until you come to fundraising.
Right. Yeah, so that's just a timing thing, because it has to be, for 24 hours prior to.
Sure.
Acting on it.
Told you that it could have.
So,
Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
thank you. Another fundraiser.
Yes, this is for the track field.
That is for new event.
I think they do it.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, this just, now they have to start filling these out, so I don't.
They did it in 22 is what it states.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here.
They keep track of each personal record and they get money for it.
Oh, so.
So then do the detailed description of fundraising activity.
So that would be that they ask family, friends to.
To donate to the fund.
It's not certain things.
I'll make a motion to approve the track and field fundraiser in front of it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion back. Yeah. That's, I mean, it's bus bids where,
Jerry is at the ballgame.
well, I mean, yeah. How many buses do we have? When does he need this?
It's for the FY 25, so I'm not probably sooner than later to get them. But I can.
How many years have we gotten a new bus now?
I think you do it, I think you rotate one in and out every year.
Yeah, it's part of, it's like tied
That's
to
it.
plan.
That's its rotation.
How many,
There's
how long
15.
does the bus last?
I think there's roughly 15 buses, so you're talking a 15-year bus. If you do one a year. By the time it reaches its cycle, it'll be back to 15. That's pretty dang good for a thing that's carrying children.
Well, yeah, it's gotta have a few miles on it. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Lot of miles.
And they rotate which ones are the long travel buses and things of that nature, to my understanding, so.
That what I guess what I'm wondering is, yeah, we'll just use 15 buses and we'll buy it. And you one every year. You must have it staggered, so that.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
17.
17, so.
Wow.
And you're partially correct though, because we have two that we released from some of the service last year when we did some bus route rerouting, which enabled us to maintain 17 them and one's in the shop, one of the older ones just still have them. So 17 is an ideal number, and then we can rotate them if we need to, if one's out of service for a number of days.
Which can happen quite quickly. No, they all travel gravel. I'll make,
how many miles, I'm sorry, I was just gonna, how many miles do they usually have on by the time they reach the.
well,
And can ask.
I hope it's gonna, the
We'll
average
get,
route,
we'll get the
I just
expert
wondered.
number.
the average route's gotta be 40 miles a day, 50 miles a day, and the average rural route, I would guess, round trip, and that's twice a day, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the bus bid in front of us for $145,362 to Bluebird.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Yes, there. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Policy reviews, we had. A policy that had to do with Charles City High School dance attendance requirements. That we are. Requesting first and second reading, was that correct?
Yes, the reason that's being done is that the dance sponsor and the high school associate principal felt it was important after the homecoming dance that they reviewed it with their prom committee, and they wanted to add a little bit more structure and guidance. So you'll see both the current handbook policy and the proposed handbook policy. And the reason we're recommending that you approve in one reading is that we'd like to allow these young ladies and gentlemen to begin shopping for their prom wear with the notion of who would be eligible to be a date for the event.
Thoughtful. Thoughtful.
Many eager young ladies.
There you go. And it was approved at the policy committee as discussed. Yeah, that's.
And we didn't make it up.
No,
It came to us from
legal.
in-house.
Yeah, in-house.
Yeah.
And it was all very thoughtful.
For the dance stuff. So we need a motion, or is that?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the first and second reading of the revised Charles City High School dance attendance.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Okay, that is 4-0. And then the first reading for.
600, 700s, and 900s.
Bunch of them in there.
Yep.
These were actually all individually gone over by us that day. It was an exciting meeting.
That's sarcastic.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the 600, 700, 900 series as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Board comments.
Evelyn showed, I can tell you that the mileage runs up to 175 to 200,000 miles, although mileage, as is true in most districts that use gravel road and with salt. It's not as much of a factor regarding mileage as it is the body condition. So it really takes a toll on us. And so there's your answer.
No comments today?
No.
No. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:17.
Adjourn.